All right. Already laughing. Great. This is Eat, Pray, Dunk with Channing Frye, presented by our friends at Beyond Meat. Channing, what's up, man?
Nothing. What's up, man? Finally, about damn time. It's like, the godfather of athlete podcast got to get on this one. It took you about 3 years to get me on.
I can't actually believe that we've never done any podcast segment together.
Yeah, literally, it's just talking about things that nobody cares about our opinions.
You know what's really interesting? I was looking this up today because when I started at Yahoo, the Vertical with Yahoo, it was like the winter, I think February of 2016.
Yeah.
You and RJ and Allie started your podcast in January of 2017. And there's been a lot of athletes and former athletes since who have started a pod. We were sort of on that first wave. And it's really interesting because I think a lot of athletes, they'll do 2 or 3 episodes, or even someone like Josh Hart did 1 season. Yeah. But nobody's stuck with it. Nobody else is stuck with it. You guys just finished your 152nd episode with Jerry.
Did we? I don't even know. A funny thing. Number one, I'll tell you why people don't, because it's actually work and you have to love what you're doing and love your people's stories. Because at the end of the day, it's really not about you. It's like who you're interviewing. And that's been so much fun. Like we got to interview Tim Duncan and Derrick Rose sat in our room for an hour and talked. I was like, dude, I've been on your team for 6 months. I've heard you say as much shit in months. But he was awesome learning about Kyle Korver and all those guys. And then we just had Jerry Springer on, which was like, I don't know where we go from there. And so it's just hearing these people's stories, having a good time. And then, I've never listened to it. I've listened to 1 episode of our podcast, re-listened to it. That was the Gilbert Arenas one. And I was just laughing the whole time.
I have to be, Tommy knows this, I have to be a little buzzed late at night to re-listen to my own voice.
Oh, God.
I could never, sometimes when I'm with my wife in the car, she'd be like, let's listen to one of your podcasts. And I'm like, no, not a chance. I'll listen to somebody else's podcast, but I'm not listening to mine.
Murder mysteries. I don't know, what is that called? She listens to murder cases. I'm like, it's 8:15. How are you into this? I don't want to hear about people getting.
Everyone loves murder content. Murder content is the go-to.
It is. And I'm just like, this is not good for my aura. I live in Portland, so I'm into the yogi stuff. And I'm just like, this ain't good for my 5th metatarsal, right? My 5th chakra.
We're going to get into a bunch of wine stuff. You're one of the perfect guests for Eat, Pray, Dunk. We had Kevin on.
Yeah.
We've had Kevin on twice now on this podcast. And we had him on a couple months ago for the inaugural Eat, Pray, Dunk episode. And he shouted you out for sort of changing the culture of that 2016 team, which we're going to get to.
Right.
I want our listeners to know about the project you have going on right now, which is Chosen Family Wines. You have your own wine label.
Yes.
I've actually never asked you. So your business partners are Jake Gray and the winemaker Chase Renton, but I've never asked you, how did you meet Jake?
So I met Jake through a teammate when I moved to Portland. Another Duke guy, I'm tired of naming all these Duke guys I played with, but we just Jake is my kind of guy. He likes to go eat dinner. He likes to drink wine and he's good. He'll argue with you a little bit, right? He's not just if you just say the sky's blue, he's gonna hold up. Okay. You're not just, and so over the years, we've just, back and forth. When I would go to LA, we go out to dinner, I'd kick it with him. And then just when I got to Orlando, or my last year in Phoenix, he got that job at Longfellow. And I really wasn't into Pinots, right? I was your atypical starting wine drinker at cabs, right? Give me a Napa cab, between $100, $200. I don't know what I'm drinking, but let me look cool. And then he was like, dude, try this Pinot Noir. And I'm like, I want no damn Pinot Noir. And I tried it and I said, oh shit, this is legit. And then I started to really kind of get in. I was like, oh, this dude's my age. And I get to meet Chase. And, that was really when I started to kind of dive into the Willamette Valley. And then we would do these CCA things. And I would be able to go back there with Chase and Jake, and we would do barrel blendings. And then it clicked and I was like, yo, this is it. Like, this is my painting of this year of what you've done. And after I got done, Jake is like, hey, you talked about maybe you want to get in the wine industry. Let's sit down and see how we can all get in there together. So we sat down and came up with this concept. And Chosen Family is, we don't have a vineyard. We don't have a tasting room. And that's just because it's 2020 and a pandemic. So there's no point in me getting a tasting room where nobody can come and I hemorrhage. So we're 100% e-commerce brand. We're, DTC a lot. We have not poured one bottle of wine for anybody. Yet we're doing pretty well for ourselves right now. And we are exponentially growing. And it's more fun now than it was at the first day. I was so nervous. Are people going to like it? Are you going to like the labels? And then the more you do it, the more you're like, well, if you don't like it, I got something else for you. Right. And I like that opinion. It's like wine. And you know this, you can have a $1,000 bottle of wine or a $20 bottle of wine. And somebody may go, it's okay. But I love this Franzia, like it's just my taste. And they're not wrong. It's in today's age where if you go to a kitchen and somebody brings up either politics or something that's going on in the world, somebody has a divisive idea. That is wrong. This is right. Wine is a thinking man's drink, right? And you can contemplate it. You can talk about it. It's so much fun. And the more that I'm in it, the more that I'm like, dude, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
I think it's interesting because a big precursor to this whole thing was you getting traded from the Knicks to Portland.
Oh,
you got drafted by the Knicks. You get traded to Portland. It's your introduction to the Willamette Valley. It's your introduction to Jake. It's. I think what makes wine so interesting, and it doesn't matter what the price point of the wine that you're drinking, is the story behind the wine.
For sure.
And what you guys are creating at Chosen Family is a story.
Yeah. I think we're fans, right? And we could talk about wine for hours, and we're just fans. And there are so many people doing so much cool ass shit that we don't even have a chance to discover it, right? So I make time as a business to go to different places, oh darn me, to try them, to get to know them, right? We've been to Walla Walla. Why would I ever go to Walla Walla? And I'm like, hey, yo, Walla Walla's kind of tight, like in a little small crusty place, but making $100 cabs, right? Or, Merlots, or, goodness, what else? I can name
Rain Van making some Syrah.
Oh, Rain Van. Hey, yo, people have had Syrah. It's different when you get it from Rain Van. I feel like you've had a pancake until you went to the original pancake house and you were like, oh, shit, okay, that's a pancake. So for me, just meeting all these people that are cool as crap, that love what they do, but that are passionate about it. And then when we get to do, and Chosen is our thing, is like, hey, we're fans. Let's do a collaboration, right? So I'm going to use my outlets to not only showcase what we did, but what you do, right? Because we couldn't do what we do without the amazing winemakers. And so we're just showcasing super cool winemakers that we buy their wine anyways, whether we work with them or not. It's been working out, and the winemakers are excited because, they're back there by themselves, right? Just dingling and doing this. And we bring in music and we're talking and we're just like, that one's awesome. This one's awesome. Well, if we mix those two, and that's, it's uniquely ours, and their tastes are going to evolve. And I feel like we're doing a pretty good job of reflecting not only the terroir, but reflecting the idea of we're putting that year in a bottle, right? We're putting that piece of land into a bottle and helping people out understand wine and how it works, how it tastes.
Have you been surprised by anything meeting all these winemakers from on a personal level?
Oh, they love hoop. Like they love basketball. And I'm saying this in the nicest way. They are the biggest farming nerds of all time. And when you get 3 or 4 of them together, they speak a language talking about pH levels, talking about bricks, talking about new oak, French oak, and they're naming barrels. I'm like, hey, y'all, okay, give me a glass. And maybe if I get a little drunk, I can understand you sometimes. But the more you're around it, the more you kind of like, that gif from The Hangover, where he was all those numbers and he went full Rain Man. That's how I feel sometimes trying to figure out what the hell they said. And I was like, oh, what you're saying is, since it was a hot year, this is better in 3 or 4 years, or when it's a wetter year, drink this now. And they're like, yeah, we said that. I'm like, no, you didn't say that.
I was saying this to JJ the other night because JJ slipped. He's not a winemaker, but he slips into this too a little bit,
yeah,
where
JJ.
he starts talking about wine in a way that is not understandable to anybody else in the conversation, no matter who he's talking to.
I will tell you this, everyone listening, there's some fake wine lovers in the NBA, right? As there is in the world. JJ Redick is the most technically sound wine lover in the NBA by far. It's not even close. This dude reads books. He's educated. He knows the people. Like, he's done the work. And a lot of people like to just say, oh, look at the label, you know? And JJ's like, I don't give a shit about the label. I know the winemaker, and this is one of his labels. I'm trying this to compare this to this. And then I may buy a case of that to compare this every year. And so that's exciting. And that's like, each person has their own journey to go to. But yeah, JJ is legit. When they say who's the most legit, James Jr. right there.
Hey, Channing, I appreciate that, man. I think what's made it so interesting for me, and you know, I think so. You started getting into wine in 2007. I would say my first trip to Napa started getting me into wine. This was 2010. I went with my sister and her husband and my wife, and then it was really in 2018 after I finished with the Sixers. I got introduced to Jeff Goldstern, a wine broker and wine dealer here in New York, who's become a friend of mine, and he's educated me. So as much as it is about drinking for me, because it's fun to share a bottle of wine with people, it's about the rabbit hole. It is about the rabbit hole.
It's Channing,
it sounds to me like that you have just, I don't know when this was, and I want to get to 2016, but it sounds to me like you have gotten into the rabbit hole. And for me, it's always been these incremental inflection points. It was the first time I had DRC. You know, it was the first time I had a really great white Burgundy. The first time I had a great Barolo. Like, these are all inflection points in my wine journey.
Yeah.
And they almost like, it's like hitting a great golf shot.
Oh, for sure.
It brings you back and makes you more interested. It's always about the pursuit of the next one.
Dude, I trash at golf. I'm more out there to golf because I like being outside. And it's the cart lady always comes. I tip her good the first time. She coming back, right? Them John Daly's hit different by my whole 9. But I'm telling you this, dude, you hit one good golf shot. And like you said, you come back. And for wine for me, and I'll just kind of jump into this. When I went to the Cavs, right, they were now mind you, I'm coming from the Orlando Magic. Scott Skiles is my coach. So we are having 2.5-hour crucial practices on fundamentals. Crucial. Like, my toes was hurt, my knees was hurt. I was like, Scotty, big dog, I'm not moving like this. You're tearing the cartilage off my shit, okay? We doing the hand up drills, the all that. So they're like, Cheney, you might get traded. I'm like, oh, please, God, yes, thank you. Please, God, yes. So they're like, you're going to LA or Cleveland? So I said, oh, okay, either one I'm cool with. The Clippers with Doc Rivers, or Cleveland with my man Richard and Brown, whatever. So Scott Skiles comes out on practice. It's like, hey, Channing, you got traded to Cleveland. And he goes, wipe that damn smirk off your face, right? And me and him were cool, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry to leave you, coach. And I walk in and the GM, and I'm like, oh, sorry we had to go through this. And I was cool with Scott Perry and Rob Hennigan. And so we're all cool. And I was like, hey, thanks, guys. I really do appreciate y'all getting me up out of here. So I went to the Cavs, and I'm coming in there with this kind of attitude, like joking around with everybody. Life is good. We have a chance to win a game. We actually can win some games. And these dudes are like, that sticks up their asses. I'm like, y'all just won by 30. Come on, man. What's the deal? So, you know, me, I'm putting everybody on a text chain. I'm sending, weird gifts at all hours of the night. You know, I'm talking crap to everybody, Braun, Kevin. And then finally, me and Richard were just like, all right, we got to go see what these guys are about. And so Braun had a thing. We went to that, and we'd invite like Kyrie or Shump to go. And then if Kyrie or Shump, we'd invite like Tristan or Kevin to go. And then we said, man, we got to do dinners. So we started doing dinners, and then the wine was going at dinners. And then we were sitting on a plane, and I'm like, we practice early. We don't have nothing to do. So Cleveland, one thing about that, the flights are crazy awesome. They're like an hour max everywhere. So you get in at 5 or 6. What are you going to do? Dinner's at 8. You drink some wine. So I would bring a bottle of wine on a plane, watch a movie, and they're like, hey, you're not going to share? So I was like, man, I'm not paying for all y'all. Like, you just made $70 million. You could get your own damn wine. So it ended up being a thing where we would take turns bringing 6 bottles of wine. So Bron is bringing the big boy wines. Kevin's bringing his Napa. Tristan's bringing anything that's expensive. And so I was like, man, fuck y'all. I'm going to show y'all Pinot Noir is the best. So I'm getting packages from the Willamette Valley of all these different wines, like Beaufrere, Patricia Green, Longfellow, obviously Hazel from Granville, like all the people I still mess with now. And was like, here you go. And they're like, oh, what's this? I said, man, just drink up, folks. Drink up. And they appreciated it. And the more that I had to fight for Portland and the Willamette Valley, the more I started to understand and dive into like who was making what, the different AVAs, Eola Amity, Ribbon Ridge, Dundee Hills, Red Hills. And then I would say, oh, okay, you like this. Maybe I'm going to go get you a Sonoma Coast because you like more of that salinity. You like more, you like that bigger, earthier, greener, Pinot. Or, oh, you like it spicy because you're used to tannins. And, or somebody likes something light. And then I was bringing different rosés. And then we were bringing white wine. And then I remember we went to San Francisco. And here's the coup de grace of all this, if that's the right way to say that. We were sitting at this, 1 Michelin star restaurant in the back, and they got a crazy wine thing behind you. So I'm like, okay, let me hop in first before I get the bill. So like, let me just buy a bottle and then I can be done with this. Okay. That's a sneaky vet move right there. Never be the last bottle because somebody's going to one up you if you're on a team with millionaires. So I was like, hey, can we start off with some nice champagne, Blanc to Blanc, traditional champagne method. And I'll get you 2 bottles of the white, white from Oregon, whatever. So everyone crushes that. Oh, Channing, thanks. Boom. Like a 92 Opus 1 comes out. I said, oh, we going to just skip. We just going to skip the process. Boom. 91 Opus comes out. Then Richard looks at me like, shit, Channing, what do I get? I was like, boy, you can't get nothing less than that, right? So all of a sudden, these crazy wines started coming out. And that's how I knew our team was like, number one, we were tight. And number two, they each in their own way had a story for that wine. And that was what they were going to put at the table. And whether they knew it or not, it meant that that meant something to them and they were happy to share it with us.
I think what's incredible about this story, because we just mentioned how great wine is for sharing and how great wine is for connecting and getting to know someone and talking to someone. And it's a little bit of an analogy for a locker room.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this on the show before, Tommy, but in every locker room, you need connectors.
Oh, yeah.
And what you and Richard did was connect the team. I always think about Matt Barnes.
Yeah.
I played with Matt in Orlando. I played my first 2 years with the Clippers with him. Like, he was the connector in those locker rooms. He was the bridge between certain guys that maybe weren't naturally going to hang out together. He was the guy that brought everyone together. DJ was like that too. And we've talked about this actually probably 6 months ago, but it's getting harder and harder to have those connectors in the locker room. The age gap now is crazy.
No, it's crazy. They're just they're not valued, right? You're undervaluing seatbelts in a really expensive Ferrari, right? You don't, like, nobody ever cares that there's seatbelts on a Ferrari, but Udonis Haslem is the seatbelt if anything goes wrong, he locks them up. You saw in that playoff series, he cussed them out and they end up doing better. He is the guy that when Jimmy Butler or Victor Oladipo want to act crazy, he brings them back into the seat so that they're connected to the car and they don't fly off the rails. When you don't empower your 15th person, right? So if you're the owner, you should say, hey, I'm hiring you. It's your job to do your job. If you're the president, if you're the GM, if you're the coach, you need to have communication, right? You need to understand what's the best type of players for your coach. At the end of the day, if the coach can tell, like Popovich, everyone's like, why are the Spurs always so good? Because Pop can go, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, whoever it is, right? And everyone goes, you're right, coach. But a lot of coaches don't have that like strength behind them that they could be in charge. So they try to get all yes men or people that are like indebted to them for giving them a job. You need a 15th guy on the bench that's a vet that's going to come into your office and say, hey, coach, yo, I'm in the locker room. Everyone's gassed. We need to do like a team bonding thing, right? Or, hey, coach, let's run this back. That wasn't right. Okay, go ahead. Do you, right? You look at any of those good teams, right? Look at the Bulls teams. Look at the Pistons teams. Look at, freaking the Detroit Pistons, the new Detroit Pistons. I mean, look at the Miami Heat, James Jones. All of them talk about James Jones and Adonis Haslam. Why? Because James Jones was going up to LeBron like, stop being lazy. You go to Kyrie. You could do this in 2 moves instead of 16. Like, you need somebody to hold you accountable. And then GMs and them don't see value in that because they'd rather go get a talent and say, look, I developed this talent. But you're not going to develop it because you don't have culture. Culture develops talent. The player's going to work out. He's already to the league. Culture develops talent because it gives them a role, and then you build from that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are there any examples of championship or even championship adjacent teams over the last decade that did not have this? Because off the top of my head, it does not seem like there are.
No. Zero. If we look at rosters, no. I mean,
we could go down the list. I could go on Basketball Reference right now. Off the top of my head, last year's team, Jared Dudley. Boom. Connector.
Yeah. Easy. Yeah.
Golden State probably had 3 connectors. You know?
Andre Iguodala, Steve Kerr, right?
Toronto did for sure. Toronto, Kyle.
Marcus All.
Yeah.
Marcus All was a connector on that team.
Right.
JJ Barea in Dallas.
For sure.
You got the Heat. You just mentioned the Cavs. I mean, that's it. That's the decade right there. You got to have those guys.
And the Spurs. And that's it.
Yeah.
No. Hey, and I'll say this. Unless you have a guy like Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook, where you could just hand them the team, you need to have somebody that can be in their ear and be like, yo, that's not right. I need you to come in tomorrow. I need you to like hold them accountable. They're 18 and 19 years old, right? For me, too many teams are just handing the keys to the team over to players who haven't earned respect, right? And here are some names that have had to not start initially, but earned it, and I think will be Hall of Famers, except for one. So one of them is, the first one is Andre Iguodala. Came off the bench. Then you remember he was playing with Allen Iverson, and then Allen Iverson left, and then they gave him the team. But he was a defender and an athlete at the beginning. Kawhi Leonard was just a defender, right? Paul George came off the bench for Danny Granger. And before Paul George, Danny Granger, who was a great player, who never gets talked about, had to come off the bench. Then you look at Paul George, Danny Granger. I mean, there's just so many guys that like do better when Kyle Lowry, right? DeMar DeRozan for a little bit, right? Even though it's for a little bit, he had to earn his stripes. And then when they start, they value that. And then they've earned the respect of their teammates because nobody wants to lose all the time. Losing sucks. Nobody wants to spend 16 hours in a gym just to lose the next day. It's just, it's ridiculous.
You mentioned Russ and Kevin. I think we should give some love to Nick Collison, who was with that franchise his whole career. But he's sort of the perfect example to me. He's in the same sort of breed as Udonis or Jared Dudley or whatever. The flip side of this is, if you are the guy and you are older, is it exhausting? Does it take its toll on you mentally?
Yes, it does when you're fighting uphill in the sand, right? But if the culture is established, right? If you're just like, okay, coach, this is how he wants to play. This is what he's going to hold guys accountable. Hey, if you're not playing right, I'm allowed to yell at you as much as he is. And coach isn't going to override me, because a lot of coaches, and they shy away from controversy. So what does it look like when Adonis is yelling at, Jimmy Butler, or in his face, like, hey, you need to step up? Or if he's not on their young guys, like, you didn't come into the gym yesterday, you need to come in today. And they're like, man, shut up. You can't have that, right? And that's exhausting. But a lot of NBA guys, would, if they believe in the talent, would stay and want to see it do well. I know that for a fact. The reason a lot of guys get out is because too many people, you got a lot of entitled rookies, a lot of entitled young guys that haven't earned that role, right? You can't just hear you're a leader. They got to earn that, right? And that's why you need your talent, you need your skill guy, and you need an emotional leader, right? So like, I'll go with the Warriors. Steph is the talent. Steph is beyond the talent. Clay is the skill guy. And Draymond is your emotional leader. And Draymond holds all three of them accountable all the time. But he's not worried about points. Where Clay plays the game, whether he's up 60, down 60, he's just going to try to shoot that thing every time. And then Steph is like, you see right now, Steph fuck around and win you 10 games in a row by himself. That's talent. But teams don't put that together. Teams just want to put talent together. But then they start doing this, and it just doesn't work.
I think it's really well said. I completely agree with you. And I've seen that again and again in my career where there's a lot of talent, but the pieces don't necessarily fit. The skill sets don't fit. The personalities don't fit. And, and you can go across the league and sort of see where that's happened.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that one or two guy to sort of bring everyone together, you're not going to win at the highest level. That's just a fact.
Like, look at the Suns.
Yeah.
Look at the Suns. What do you think Chris Paul is?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's what they were needing. I got the talent, right? And I would even say DeAndre Ayton or Mikal Bridges might be the talent. Then you bring in Chris Paul, who's the skill guy. And then you bring in, or Chris Paul, the emotional leader. And then you have Devin Booker. And then you have somebody who's a consummate professional in Jay Crowder, who's going to solidify that and goes, hey, some games are going to have 5, other games I might get 20, but I'm cool playing my role.
What interferes with your happiness? Is something preventing you from achieving your goals? Well, now there's an app that can help you get past life's roadblocks, and that's BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes it easy. You connect in a safe and private online environment and can start communicating in under 48 hours. Once you're connected, BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist.
It's not a crisis line. It's not a self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. You can send a message to your counselor anytime. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, all without ever having to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. And the best part is, it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available.
Tommy, we talk about mental health all the time on this podcast, and everybody's going through something different.
Yep.
And with BetterHelp, you can find the particular expertise that you need online. BetterHelp has licensed professional counselors who are specialized in virtually every area, and everything you say is completely confidential. We at The Old Man and the Three want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/JJ. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JJ. Mother's Day is right around the corner, and as it arrives, you know you'll be searching for something different. Well, treat your mom, wife, or anyone special with a gourmet soup gift basket from Spoonful of Comfort. It's like sending a warm hug. Mom will get a complete meal with soup, rolls, and cookies. For once, it's a meal she doesn't have to cook. Spoonful is something unique, different, and easy. Let me say that again. It's easy. Listen, they gift wrap, they include a custom note card with your message to mom, and deliver right to her door, guaranteed. I've seen one of these, and they are amazing. Guys, trust me, your mom will definitely appreciate this. The packaging is really beautiful, and they even throw in a free ladle. You can see their entire selection of Mother's Day gift baskets at spoonfulofcomfort.com, and there are a ton of prices and packages to choose from, so you'll find exactly what you need. And now, just for my listeners, Spoonful of Comfort is offering you 10% off. All you have to do is use the code PODCAST10, PODCAST10 when you order. Guys, this is easy. Get that great gift for mom and show her how much she means to you. That's spoonfulofcomfort.com or search Spoonful. Making better connections means it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. It can have profound impacts on not just your professional life, but your personal as well. Well, now you can write clearly and confidently by getting real-time feedback and guidance on tone, word choice, clarity, and more with Grammarly Premium. Writing is an important aspect of my life, and Grammarly has opened my eyes to many new strategies. It helps me write clearer, more concise sentences without unnecessary or redundant words, as well as avoiding overused words and phrases to keep readers more engaged. It really does expand your vocabulary to be more exciting, effective, and memorable.
Grammarly helps you accomplish all this with advanced, real-time feedback. It doesn't just correct your mistakes, it helps you build up your skills as a writer with advanced suggestions on grammar, punctuation, sentence structure, and style.
Tommy, when's the last time you journaled? Do you remember?
A couple years ago. I do it if I go somewhere crazy on a trip.
Oh, I like that.
Overseas or something like that, but I don't do it normally.
I like that.
I don't do it on like normal days. I probably should. It's a good habit.
It is a good habit. Whenever I have my mental health days, my me days, journaling is a big part of that. And Grammarly helps. It's the perfect writing tool for anyone who wants to stand out with every word, whether it's for work, school, or personal projects. So do more than just spell check. Say what you really mean with Grammarly Premium. Get 20% off Grammarly Premium by signing up at Grammarly.com/JJ. That's 20% off at GRAMMARLY.com/JJ. Jenny, you played 13 years. How quickly did retirement become normal? What was that transition period for you?
I'm not gonna lie, it sucks for the first month because, and I'm saying this in utmost respect, when people come back from war, right? You're on a schedule, somebody tells you what to do every single day, every single minute, right? And you're used to having a purpose, right? And not saying it's not even close to that, but I'm saying the regiment, right? And you're thinking, what do I need to do? Like when you wake up, how do I feel? What do I need to do today? What time is my practice? What do I need to wear? Do I need to pack? Do I need to shoot more? Does my arm hurt? Who are we playing? Do I need to watch more film? All that requires me, and myself, right? But when you retire, nobody's telling you what to do. It gets very quiet. And they're like, I don't want to do this today. And then that turns into a week. But then all of a sudden you're like, damn, what is my purpose? Like, what am I doing? And you play basketball more of your life than you've actually lived, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right. And so now it's like, oh, you want to do what? Yes, I could do that. You want to go skydiving? Yes. I just want to go to Europe for a month. Okay. Right. There's the world is open, and it is weird to have that many options, right? Because when you go on vacation, you're like, okay, I can eat and drink whatever I want for the first 4 days. Then I got to get in the gym so I don't get too fat, or I got to work out every day because there's what my training is. I got to eat like this. You don't got to do none of that. You don't got to do shit. And that is what's scary. So then you got to, dude, I had to go talk to a psychologist a couple of times. She was like, Channing, you got to take time for yourself, and then you have to set your own schedule. And then COVID kind of effed that all up because now everyone's all over the place. I had a nice little schedule, but it took me about 6 to 8 months. And then now I'm living it. And I say, hey, if I don't want to do something, I don't got to do it. If I want to do that, that's more important. It's okay. Nobody can tell me anything. It's kind of nice. I don't say yes to everything.
When I came back to New York for All-Star break and then I had my PRP shot, I was basically in a boot for a week and then couldn't really do anything else for like another week. And then I started slowly getting back on the court. But those 2 weeks, I felt exactly what you're describing. When athletes get injured and you can't work out, like you can't train, it's like, what is my purpose? What am I doing here? And I remember saying to my wife, I'm like, if this is a glimpse into retirement, what I need in retirement is a daily structure. I need to have structure to my day.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's exactly it. And, our house was under construction and we just moved back in, I would say 2 months ago. And I'm like waiting for our garage to be empty so that I could have a gym. And you're seeing me start to do my workouts with Jake and our other buddy, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I'm like, I can't. And here's the other problem. Most regular, I call them civilians, they work out. Let me just do a couple of these. I'm a little sore, no thanks, right? And then they just go. It's an hour. It's easy. They have like aesthetic. I'm like, yo, I have to work out to halfway want to quit, or else I feel like it's not a workout. And that's just how I'm wired. And I'm just like, I think I figured it out. Like I have to work out like I'm trying to get in shape for something, not just like work out to be working out. Like I have to have a goal. I have to, like when I'm on my curve, I'm like, okay, how long is it going to take me to run a mile? And I try to beat that. And then I try to make myself quit, right? Because I have to poke the bear a little bit on like my actual health, right? Like I feel like I want to die. Let's go another minute and then I'll chill out, right? It's just how we're wired to like never want to be like, oh, I'm tired, just stop. You've never been taught that in your life. Oh, I'm tired, stop. No, never. But you have the option to, but then you can't do it, which is confusing. So
I have a very specific question.
Yo.
What is your favorite random restaurant in America that is not like a place that people don't necessarily know about, but you're like, this is the place, if I'm ever in the vicinity, like I'm going there?
So there is a Korean barbecue spot in Toronto. It's literally like in a little strip mall. It's across the street from the club that everyone goes to. And I stumbled in there one night drunkenly and had a great time. And then every time I go, I think it's just called the Korean barbecue place, right? And I tear this joint up every single time. Every single time. They're like, Jennings. I'm like, yep, give me that number 3, all the meats.
What I'm going to love about this is when we do the social media graphics for all the recommendations our guests give, and it's the Korean barbecue place in Toronto. Like
yeah. Tristan would know. I'd have to text him.
We'll get the proper name for it.
Oh yeah.
What I am such a Portland stan. Like I talk about Portland like all the time in terms of the food scene. People ask me what are your 5 favorite NBA cities. Like it's impossible for me not to put Portland in there. Like as a visiting player, I love going to Portland.
Yeah.
What are your 3 favorite Portland restaurants?
Man. One, oh, that's hard. One would be Late Pigeon, right? Late Pigeon, easily. French place, crazy good. Number 2 would be, it's actually a chain, but my kids love it. And like when I go eat, I like to eat big family style. And it's called Din Tai Fung. And the kids be tearing them little dumplings up. And I got 4. So to see all these little mouths eating dumplings and they're too hot and they're like, but still eating is great. And then a tie between this place called Han Oak or Tusk. I like both of those spots. And I'm probably missing another sushi place, Nimble Fish. There's Kachka. There's Grasa. There's Renata. I could go on and on, but that is the scene. Like there's not clubs. It's like really good bars and really good restaurants with great wine menus. And what's the place I think Jake took you? It's not the Davenport, right? It's the...
I've been the last 2 times, yeah, and they have DRC on the wine list. They have DRC on the wine list. I love Renata, by the way. I love Renata.
Oh, dude, so good, so good.
By the way, I meant to say this earlier, but when you were talking about LeBron and his wine, for years this guy was posting Napa Cabs and Bordeaux's.
Oh yeah,
and Super Tuscans. It was like that again. I've been in his ear literally the last 3 or 4 years. Every time I see him. When we're playing him, I'll go over to him at like a free throw and be like, yo, man, you need to start drinking Burgundies. You need to start drinking Pinot. And now if you see what he posts, it's only Burgundy. It's only Burgundy.
Man,
and he's drinking the best. And obviously it's bronze, so he's drinking the best.
Oh, he's drinking that good.
All right. Three recommendations besides Chosen Family. 3 recs of Oregon Pinot Noir.
I would say... Oh, okay. Obviously, I'm going to throw Longlow out there. I got to throw my guys Longlow out there. And I'm going to give you an old school. Beaufrere is by far one of my favorite. I think ageability. We had a 91 or a 99 the other day. And people go, oh, you can age a Pinot Noir 20-something years? Yes. And we did. And it was ridiculously good. What else do I have that I love? And then I'm going to mess around and say, Christum actually makes a Syrah that is A1 for me because it's the new age is like you get the fruit from Walla Walla, and you make it Pinot Noir style, because you can't emulate how they make. You can't emulate, right, Rain Van or Devilback or Long Shadows. You can't emulate just them being there every day, but you can put your own flair on it. And I think as an entry level into, Northern Rhone style Syrahs, I think Oregon is doing it really, really, really well. Hazelfern is actually making our Syrah that's coming out this summer, and he makes it big time. Still got that bite that people like, that I like, the little black pepper spice, but it's just a little bit more fresh, which I like. I don't want to eat like a dry plum. I like a fresh plum.
Channing, we need to close it out with this. Very simple. What is the best bottle you've ever had?
So by money, one time I was in Vegas and ordered a DRC and had no business ordering that. I was just trying to show off. And really, it was delicious. But like when you've already been drinking for 48 hours, like it's not the same. I think there's 3 or 4 bottles that I had the other day when we went to Napa. I think we had a 78 Mouton Rothschild. I think we had a 83 Mondavi something. He was just, those guys, the winemakers from Nickel, Joe and Phil, showed out, because I usually don't get an opportunity to try those wines. I'm more of a new age, new world wine guy, but to try those, really, I was like, damn. I've been to Healdsburg twice, which is not Napa. So I went to Napa and was like, kind of like, I'm not gonna like Napa. I was like, man, fuck, I love Napa. I hate that I love this place. I hate that I love it. I get it now, right? Eat, Pray, Love, right? Sideways, Sommelier, all this. Napa is it. And there's so many cool new winemakers that you got to kind of find that I think are doing it right. It's not that big, obviously like cabs are cabs, but these guys are doing it.
There's some finesse to it. There's some finesse to it. Elegant.
It's trying to get a little more freshness to it.
Yeah. Elegance.
Trying to like hold it back a little bit, right? So you're not just like, woo, drinking freaking 151, right?
I joke with TJ McConnell every time we have a wine that's a little
TJ,
too bold.
Guy.
I love TJ.
Is he the nicest human being of all time?
Yes.
He's up
100%. There. Drew Holiday. Drew might be also one of the nicest guys ever. Channing, this has been awesome. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, we got.
I do have one last thing.
Up?
For our listeners, if they want to go buy some Chosen Family wine, do you guys have wine available on the site, or are you all sold out?
Yes.
Okay, you have some wine available.
Pinot is available, and then we're coming out with rosé in the next couple of weeks. Chardonnay rosé 80/20. It's amazing. If you never had it, go get it. So you can go to chosenfamilywines.com. It's the only place you can get it right now. 100% DTC, and then follow us on Instagram, same name. But just go on this journey with us, guys. Like, we're fans. We drink everyone's stuff. We meet cool people. We talk about it. Wine is not pretentious. It's fun. It's a connector. And whether you're sharing ours or somebody that works with us, hey, have at it. You can't drink the same wine every single night unless your name is JJ.
I love it. Appreciate your time, brother.
All right, man. See you guys.